The very first common thing that I hear from each Indian is, I will be going back in 2, 3, or minimum 5 years or 10. Speaking from experience, at least 90% of the Indian or expats that I have came across say that. And only maybe 20 to 30 do such kind of things. Now, there are some, I would say, some consequences of that. What they do not do in the beginning is their financial planning. They're like, okay, I will be out of the country in 2, 3 years. And this doesn't happen, like I said, in at least 90% of the cases. And they are staying here, then they're coming to me, like I have met clients like 50 plus. Hey, Namrta, can we talk now about the things? Back then I thought I would be only staying for a few years, but now I've stayed longer. What to do about my financial planning? And then of course they are surprised with the consequences that, like compounding of interest.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today our guest is Namrta. Namrta is a financial consultant here in Germany. She helps Indian expats with their questions related to investment, insurances, and other financial decision-making processes. Today's video is going to be solely focused on the financial aspect of moving to Germany, especially for Indians, right? So let's jump straight into the video and understand the overall process. Thanks a lot, Namrta, for joining this call today. So as I introduced already to the audience that we are going to speak with a financial consultant today. So I'll hand over the mic to you so that you can introduce yourself, let the audience know who you are, and then we can take it from there. Over to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Anup, for the warm welcome, first of all. You guys actually know me already. Namrta Kishore is the name. I am a financial advisor by profession and Indian by heart. So for all of you guys, I also come from India. And was born here in Germany, but brought up in India and Germany as well. That's why also having a close tie to India, or had always a close tie to India. And in Germany, what I'm doing is helping my fellow Indians with their financial issues, problems that they have in the new country where they come in, maybe after studying or for working here.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. And yeah, most of the people in the Germany Calling community, they know about you because of some of the workshops that we did earlier. And yeah, I mean, so let's continue the discussion and let's get to know you more through these questions. Okay, so we would like to know more about your profession. So basically, you are into the financial advisor kind of a role. So we would like to know more about what exactly your profession looks like. What is your day-to-day job in terms of helping people? And as you said, you help only Indians specifically. We would also like to know why is that, and yeah, the overall professional journey that you have.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, what is my profession exactly? By the theoretical term, we say financial advisor. But if I had to put it into simple words, it's about helping people be financially free and financially secure for their long-term goals, or maybe for the long-term future. So that's basically what I do. What is the day-to-day life? I will maybe come in 2 minutes to that. But first of all, also to say, okay, who am I? How can you understand what I do well? Well, if you would have any contact to any families, very rich kind of families, the first thing that they do is never take care of their wealth on their own. Even if they have large businesses, somebody else is managing their wealth. They have usually like 4 or 5 financial consultants, investors sitting there taking care of their wealth. And that was my idea back then. But what I was not so sure about, can I, being a simple person, get somebody who looks over my financial situations, my finances, my wealth? The answer is a little trickier, but then I got to know about Horbach, that it is possible, and it is possible in Germany because of the SIT system here that we have, that is maybe not that much given in India. And that was also the whole motivation to say, okay, I will be doing the job, but not for the millionaire families, but for the common man like me, like I was back before. And my day-to-day life looks like this. So digital meetings, and now it's an interview or a talk with you, Anup, but usually I'm talking about finances, about investing, about converting taxes into investments, about insurances, about the goals and dreams of my clients digitally, like we are doing. That's like 80% of my day.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so the other part of the question was why specifically Indians and why not, the general public? Yeah, so if you would like to put some information around that topic.
Yeah, for sure. When we look at Horbach, the company I'm associated with, we are specialized always. The consultants are specialized to a specific target group. The most common ones before me, for example, was specialization for doctors, who are Germans, of course, right? Or specializations for lawyers, or engineers, and so on. So basically, each occupation has its own needs other insurances. Social securities look different sometimes. For example, doctors versus common person. So that was the whole rule before I came. And then, of course, I also explored all of the options. I was having kind of everybody in my client base. But I was really quick to also recognize that I have one special power that my fellow colleagues didn't have. And that was the because of my life journey, being an Indian, being in Germany, that I can understand both of the sides really well. That I also know few of the Indian languages, that I could help Indians maybe more than any German person. Yeah, I could communicate in German, but maybe there's any other person, like 80% of the population in Germany, or 90, or I don't know, 95 can speak German. So they have enough consultants to take care of them. But the Indian community, when we look here, they do not have that much consultants or people who could take care of them. And that was the reason to say, okay, you could just help somebody more because you have more qualities. And the other thing is, of course, we understand us better when we both come from the same culture. I've seen enough of German people talking to Indians about a specific thing, and like, hey, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. And they're talking about the same thing, but just not understanding each other, just because of the communication and cultural differences. Becomes really hard if you're at the beginning of the career and only speak English or Hindi or other languages, for example.
Understood. So you basically focus only on the Indian community so that you can help them better as compared to someone who's handling everyone. So yeah, makes sense, definitely. Yeah, so throughout your journey so far, you might have come across maybe hundreds of Indian expats or maybe even thousands. I don't know the numbers, but throughout your experience, you might have also faced some interesting situations with expats. So we would like to hear some of the interesting experiences you had in the past. Maybe it's related to investment, it could be related to insurances or anything in general. Yeah.
The very first common thing that I hear from each Indian is, I will be going back in 2, 3, or minimum 5 years or 10. Speaking from experience, at least 90% of the Indian or expats that I have came across say that. And only maybe 20 to 30 do such kind of things. Now, there are some, I would say, some consequences of that. What they do not do in the beginning is their financial planning. They're like, okay, I will be out of the country in 2, 3 years. And this doesn't happen, like I said, in at least 90% of the cases. And they are staying here, then they're coming to me, like I have the clients like 50 plus. Hey, Namrta, can we talk now about the things? Back then I thought I would be only staying for a few years, but now I've stayed longer. What to do about my financial planning? And then of course they are surprised with the consequences that, like compounding of interest. Hey, if you start as a 20 years old in comparison to a 50 years old, there is difference is huge. So this is always a thing, and I always laugh when my clients say that, and I always tell them this, my experience, and they're like, okay. And then I, of course, emphasize always to begin with your financial planning, to keep it right from the beginning, regardless of where you are. And this is also what we can achieve together. So my clients, one went to Vietnam to live there. That was from the beginning when I just met few expats as well. And she went to Vietnam now, and she's having investments here in Euro, in a secure country, and is enjoying her present there. But for the future, she's well secured. So this is one thing that I usually hear about. Otherwise, if I think about mainly Indian people also trust Germans too much sometimes. The only thing what they forget is they are not financial consultants. Like I was just having a few conversations with a few of my clients, and he's like, okay, the German colleague said this and that, and he had a contract 10 years back. Okay, let me have a look. And I just explained him, okay, hey, if they are German doesn't mean they are financial consultants. Of course, you can, ask, like it's like peer talking about the things, but do not trust that too much, because they are maybe engineers, they are maybe doctors. So ask them about medication or maybe some engineering stuff, but not about financial advice. For that, get yourself a professional.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, financial consultation is really important if you're investing your hard-earned money somewhere. I think it makes sense to speak to someone who's an expert in that domain, right? Yeah, definitely. So the other question is now about your educational background. So we are interested in understanding how you chose this profession and what kind of education you did before you moved to this financial consultation profession.
Yeah, the journey also begins as I was a small child, being like 5 years old, 6 years old. I used to run around and say I would like to be a business girl. I just put girl instead of women because I was a small child, so I was a girl, not a woman. And back then I knew I would be doing something with business and something with money. I was also really, really keen to know about numbers. So I really loved, when numbers grew, that was really like a good thing for me. And when I came to school, then when I did my high school here, so it's called Abitur, everybody was like, hey, Namrta, you have to do something now. Otherwise, you cannot start a business, because businesses are not started just like that. I was okay. Then I begin with my studies. That was also then business administration with a focus in finances. And in the second semester, I actually got to know about Horbach, and have also put then a CV anywhere. I also do not remember exactly where I have registered myself, and I just have applied for a work placement, for an internship first of all, to see what they do, because it was really fascinating. For me, it was about finances and it was self-employment. So I was like, okay, that's best of the both worlds. And let us get started as a newbie. Also, bachelor second semester is actually nothing you do not get to know about anything there. And then I get started with the financial area. I was here for a few weeks, and I really liked how it is about helping people, because that was also my main motive. Yeah, I love when numbers grow, but I also love when it grows for both of us, or or for the community. So that was the journey. And when we speak about qualifications, I myself also am now also going in the area of mentorship. That means new consultants who begin, I would take care of them. I would tell them about how the consultations are done, because you cannot just let somebody who's new consult people, because that would be just not the right way. So we have mentors before, and few of them come to me and say, Namrta, I did business administration and finance. I know how investments work. Okay. All right. And the second question is, speaking from my experience, when I talk about business administration, we learn about finances of a company, not about our private financial planning. It's completely different worlds. So I learned everything about my profession after my studies, or during those with my internship here, and then also as a working student. Then I started as a full-time consultant. So you need to learn a lot. And you also have to be verified by the authorities. You have to do 2 or 3 exams depending on where you would like to consult. For example, there's one for insurances, completely in German, of course. Other one is for investments, that you can invest, and there are multiple exams further on as well if you would like to specialize on one area or the others. And that's just not about studies. So studies alone are not sufficient. You have to have experience. You have to do exams. at least after 6 months, for example, of learning, and then you can consult somebody. So this is the kind of regulations. Here also, maybe just to add one thing, it's important for the people to see financial consultant cannot be just anybody. You have to be certified by the government, by the authorities to talk about investments. So I would not trust, anybody just giving advice on investment. I would ask that person, what's your qualification?
Okay, makes sense. So apart from the whole educational background you have, you also, if someone new wants to join you basically in the same kind of a domain, so they should also learn German language, right? So I believe that's a requirement as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because you cannot talk about a plan that's completely noted, because the legal language in Germany is German, and you cannot consult over something that you do not understand yourself. So you have to be fluent in German. Yes, that's true.
Understood. Makes sense. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so the other question is, how do you stay, up to date and connected with the Indian community here in Germany, and how do you maintain your contacts with them? Or what's the process that you follow? If you would like to share that.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, also working as a financial consultant, I always am also really close to my fellow Indians, and I'm also working with many organizations together. I visit many Indian events as well myself, and I'm there to listen. Basically, I want to listen to the problems of my fellow Indians, about my potential clients, maybe, or just about a common man who's new here. What are the problems that he faces today? Then whenever I meet somebody who's in the same situation, I'm also able to consult the person in the right way, and maybe also tell him, hey, that's okay. Everybody else also felt the same like you are feeling, but that's okay. We will be making it, and we will be making it maybe together. So Indian culture, there are many Indian events in Berlin as well. There are organizations, Frankfurt, for example, Stuttgart, Düsseldorf, many of them. And I'm also kind of roaming around the whole Germany area from city to city, also attending sometimes Indian events. So if maybe somebody is there in any Indian organization where I haven't been, maybe just contact me, and we can see how we could meet maybe in an Indian event.
Yeah, sure. I think some of the people who are watching this, who would like to maybe speak to you or might want to arrange something, maybe they can contact you directly. We'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile, or one of your profiles, so that they can contact you there. Yeah, definitely. So I think we are towards the end of this conversation. So finally, we would like to understand, as Indians, what are the tips and tricks that we can follow once we are in Germany to make sure that our investment is safe, secure. And if, for example, after 5 years, I want to go back to India, then how do I ensure that my investment is, growing at a pace which is comparable to how it would grow if I had invested in India? And if I decide to stay back in Germany and I don't want to go back to India, in that case also, I mean, how will everything work out? So tips, tricks, and suggestions for Indians.
Yeah, for sure. The first one is not only applicable for Indians, but just for everybody. Start with investment as soon as you earn the first penny, because compounding of interest is huge. You can invest, you can start with investing maybe 50 euros today, or 50 euros in 3 years. This will make huge difference in your growth of returns. That means beginning as soon as possible, beginning with the smallest penny that you have makes huge difference. Then if you are investing on your own, let's suppose you're investing on your own, you're using any app, how would you manage that if there are change in regulations and you leave the country, for example, right? How do you manage that? That's really not feasible for anybody who would leave the country, would be in India, for example. In 3 years, there's a regulation. Let's suppose that anybody outside of India cannot access an app for investing in Germany. How would you manage your money then? It's a problem for you, right? And if you just invested for 3 years, then you have to break your investment or maybe pull out your investment. But maybe there the market is not doing well. So you need somebody who is in Germany who takes care of your investment, and not that you are doing it on your own. But also doing it on your own is always to see, okay, what are the criteria that you're making the decision for? Like I've told you, when we were talking about the qualifications and so on, I at least needed like 1 year to understand about everything in detail. Now the markets are dynamic, right? The markets change each day, each month, regulations change. How would you like to be up to date to them? Working as a software engineer, I'm pretty sure, I know from my clients that all of them are having like 9 to 5 jobs and kids, and they do not have even a single minute to think about anything else. So how would you, in this highly changing world of finances, try to manage it on your own? And how would you get the information? I mean, I would not trust Google for my investments. It's just a machine, right? So, and the first thing that appears, maybe we are never sure if that's right or not wrong, and try to Google two things, maybe just in a different way. Just change some word, you will have different results. Just change the language, you will have different results. So I would not trust Google. Maybe I would trust a living person and would trust their expertise on the topic. Yeah, and get yourself professional help. You can do that. It is feasible in Germany, and do it as soon as possible. You are here.
Perfect. I cannot agree more. I mean, Google is definitely good if you know how to use it, but for people who are not aware of how to search it or how to go through the results and everything, it's not advisable at all. So you should definitely speak to someone who is experienced in this domain. Definitely. Thanks a lot for all those information. So yeah, as I said, we are towards the end of this conversation. Thanks a lot for joining this call and sharing all this information with our audience, especially on a weekend. I know in Germany, weekends are, weekends and you do not work on these days. So thanks a lot again, and I wish you a good luck for all your future endeavors, and stay connected with our audience so that they get help from your expert advice. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Anu, for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.